In this video, we'll discuss Jordan Peterson's explanation of how to win any argument. He covers the different ways to argue your point effectively and how to deal with various types of opponents. This is a must-watch for anyone looking to improve their debating skills. Jordan Peterson is one of the most renowned psychologists in the world. He covers everything from preparing for an argument to dealing with difficult opponents. This is a must-watch video if you want to improve your debating skills. First up, respond with composure. Don't lash out. In many of the debates Dr. Peterson participates in, you can see his many opponents repeat what he is saying in their biased sentences, claiming that he supports something that he has never stated he supports, and refusing to listen to what he says. They don't let him finish his sentences, shout in his face, accuse him of things he hasn't claimed, speak to him in a very disrespectful way, and attack his characteristics. However, he always responds coolly and composedly. He is well informed, thoroughly researches his views, devours all available material, and only discusses topics he is confident about. And he doesn't think it's necessary to lash out at them in return to make his point. He knows an effective argument is possible if both sides respectfully listen, try to understand the other's perspectives, and respond respectfully. You'd reach nowhere and learn nothing new if you and your opponent aggressively tried to prove their points. First and foremost, you wouldn't ever want to agree with someone who lashes out at you and speaks disrespectfully. Next up, listen attentively and patiently, then answer. Dr. Peterson knows that effective dialogue, debate, or disagreement can occur when both parties pay attention. However, we observe in most of his debates that the opponent responds with attitudes full of prejudgment, oblivious to the issues he presents. Most of the time, they don't wait for him to complete speaking. It's also reassuring to see how patiently Peterson awaits the other person to finish speaking before responding to the question at hand, with such depth and perspective taking that you realize he's not trying to establish his righteousness, but rather provide a reasoned justification for his viewpoint. Most people struggle with listening. While the other person is speaking, we are preoccupied with planning our witty retort rather than paying attention and understanding what is being said. We have the same old thought baggage that we didn't improve in any manner because we don't listen carefully. We blatantly adhere to it and fail to recognize the existence of other options and viewpoints. But instead of listening to comprehend, we listen to respond. But the underappreciated ability to listen is what truly distinguishes a fascinating debater, conversationalist, or whatever else you want to name them. Next is, don't get trapped in your ego. Be open to learning. We take things too personally, which is why we often get sucked into arguments. We ignore other non-territorial perspectives because we are so enmeshed in our beliefs. Since we identify such opinions, we take their disagreement personally and perceive it as an attack. However, you should avoid making your opinions part of your identity, since losing an argument would imply they are essentially incorrect or lack intellectual capacity. People find it difficult to tolerate the thought of losing. That is because it would be dishonorable to act incorrectly on their behalf. They want to prevail and establish their superiority, to boost their egos and seem superior. But what could be better than having the chance to change your perspective on the world and yourself by being willing to have your stale notions refuted? You can leave the discussion with fresh insights and ideas, or even better, with a potential fix for the issue at hand. However, your ego will be bruised if you take it too personally. It's good to remember that you can't be right all the time and be right 100% in arguments, even if you somehow are. Is that your biggest motivation? If it is, change that motivation because there are more important things in life. Don't argue to defeat or be defeated. Be open to learning, changing, and producing possible solutions. Now, do your research. Claim things only if you're sure about them. You can tell when Jordan Peterson claims that he is confident in whether he has done his study on the subject. He conducts academic research, devours well-cited peer-reviewed articles, uses science, and speaks with facts since he primarily revolves around psychology-related subjects or approaches issues from a psychological perspective as a psychology professor. He states, "I'm very careful with my words," during his debate with Cathy Newman. He makes this point because the opposing debater uses his own words to build a wild new argument he never said. Be cautious when making claims, as Peterson did, as your opponent can try to trick you. Verify your facts and seek advice from reputable sources. Use your words with care. Honestly, do your homework. Not every debate and discussion needs to center on science, but whatever you're talking about, make sure you've read up on the subject and done your research on it. It doesn't have to be from peer-reviewed articles. It could be from documentaries, the work of respectable people, books, videos, people you trust, etc. And only make claims that you can back up with evidence from your study study, or other relevant knowledge. And now, never be afraid to speak your mind. Use your freedom of speech. The fact that Peterson fearlessly exercised his right to free speech and expressed his truth made him so well liked and ignited the hatred directed at him from the start. He encourages people to do the same by speaking across ideologies and without limiting his ideas or viewpoints. Instead of opting to accept our troubles and play the victim, he raises his general concerns. He seeks healthier answers to the social issues we face. He encourages us to, first and foremost, assume personal accountability for our lives. He drew criticism from the start for speaking his mind and deviating from the proper method of speaking. Still, on the plus side, he also has many fans who agree with what he says. He is a perfect example of how you shouldn't be afraid to speak your mind, since you have the right to do so, provided that you do so in a way that doesn't hurt other people. Think boldly and speak up. Finally, wrapping up, whether you agree with this man's viewpoints and ideas, his ability to articulate them, lead a conversation, converse with others, and do it with absolute clarity is astounding and motivating. Peterson advocated listening carefully and calmly to your opponent before responding. Do the same to argue and converse like him. When you respond, maintain perfect composure and confidence instead of exploding into anger. If you make a claim, support it with study and understanding of the subject's history. Never be scared to exercise your right to free speech and to express the truth. And set aside your ego and be willing to learn and develop solutions. That is how debates are conducted. Next, in other related news, Jordan Peterson breaks down in tears when asked about Olivia Wilde calling him a hero to the incel community. Sure, why not? Jordan Peterson cried on Piers Morgan Uncensored when asked about Olivia Wilde calling him an incel hero. Wilde told Interview magazine that Chris Pine's cinematic villain Frank is based on Peterson. Wilde labeled Peterson an incel hero. Sure, why not? Piers Morgan questioned Peterson if Wilde's opinion was accurate. People have been after me because I speak to disenfranchised youth. Peterson cried and remarked, "It's hard to realize how disheartened people are, especially young males. What do incel slurs mean? Good for them. These men don't know how to attract fussy women, picky women. You're gifted. Keep your men accountable. Okay, alienated males are lonesome, don't know what to do, and everyone abuses them. Incels are disenfranchised, largely white guys who believe they are entitled to sex from women," Wilde said. "They feel society has stolen them, that feminism is against nature, and that we must be put in our place." Jordan Peterson legitimizes their movement because he's a former professor, author, and suit wearer, said Wilde. Peterson said Wilde's comment was a low-level insult. Peterson's diss urged him to see Don't Worry Darling. Peterson said, "I'll see that movie. I didn't mind. Chris Pine is handsome. I hope he understands my style." Finally, Jordan Peterson disgusted by society celebrating a 2,560-pound Minnesota pumpkin. Jordan Peterson, a media personality and psychologist, expressed anger over the warm reaction of a 2,560-pound prize-winning pumpkin from Minnesota on Tuesday, in a critique of what he called a warped perspective on weight. "There's just no way that pumpkin is healthy, and no amount of tolerance from woke authoritarians is ever going to change that," Peterson said of the gourd celebrated this week at the 49th Annual World Championship Pumpkin Weigh-Off. He added that no pumpkin weighing more than a ton should be honored by proper society. "Given how political correctness has destroyed our culture, I'm sure it's just a matter of time before I see these plus-size pumpkins on the front of the weekly sales circular at my neighborhood supermarket. When a culture expects men to be drawn to any pumpkin that is hefty, it is obvious that civilization is in decay." At the time of publication, Jordan Peterson could be spotted in the produce section of a grocery store, rubbing a small, slender squash. And there you have the explanation of how to win an argument by Jordan Peterson. It's also important to remember that no matter who you are or your beliefs, there will always be people who disagree with you. Jordan Peterson is a perfect example of this. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, like and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. And don't forget to leave a comment below letting us know what you think. We love hearing from you.